Yep. Welcome to the Holiday Special, QGP.
Yes, fresh after Christmas, just before New Year's. I think this is a good time, and it is actually the only chance we've had in a while to sit down and
we've
record.
both been sick.
I've been more
different
sick.
Things. Yeah, you win the
Yes.
sickness contest.
Yes, my entire family, they caught the bug, the stomach bug that had been going around.
Yeah, like stomach viruses like trump pretty much anything else.
They're not good. They mess up your whole business. But we're fine now, and I guess we're hoping, really hoping that Zach doesn't get it.
Don't even kid about that.
Yeah. I really hope you don't get it. I honestly don't. So, 2016. What happened?
It was a year.
What happened in 2016? Nintendo released a mobile Mario game.
They started their whole mobile market this year.
Did anyone ever think that this would happen?
I mean, I swear last year they were saying they weren't going to do that. Like early last year.
Mm-hmm.
It was only like a year or two ago that they were still adamant about not doing it. So,
and here we are. We've already got three or four different Nintendo mobile games.
Well, two like official ones, and then like Pokemon Go and Pokemon Shuffle.
Right.
But
and we've got two more coming down the line.
Yeah, I think they're planning on
of.
releasing 3 next year. Like 3 to 4 a year is what their plan is.
Mm-hmm.
So we're at least getting Fire Emblem Mobile and Animal Crossing Mobile next year.
I'm a little upset that that didn't happen.
Yeah, because those games are probably finished. The only reason they were delayed into next year was to make room for Super Mario Run.
Yeah.
It's just weird we haven't seen any footage of it.
Yeah. I'm still really worried about Animal Crossing.
See, I'm really worried about Fire Emblem. I'm not at all worried about Animal Crossing.
What do you think they're going to do with Animal Crossing? Have we discussed this before?
I think we have, and I think like you're okay with Fire Emblem Mobile, and you're concerned about Animal Crossing, and I'm the reverse.
Well, because I can see Fire Emblem because the way that it lays out stages, I feel like would work very well with a touch-based system. I think it's a good platform for a mobile strategy game. Animal Crossing I'm worried about because I'm worried it'll just be a collection of mini games and there's not going to be a lot of substance.
Well, I'm not so much worried about the control scheme for Fire Emblem as much as I am content. Like, they've already announced these are both free to play, and we've seen what free to play for Nintendo means.
Right.
Miitomo and 3 levels in 20 seconds of Super Mario Run.
Right. I kind of want to, I guess, play devil's advocate here. I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing because with the way they did it with Super Mario Run, having a one-time fee giving you access to the full game, I think that's great. Rather than basically leeching money out of the customer to keep them playing their game forever.
Yeah, and I totally agree. I think that's the better way to do it. They said these are specifically free to play, which means microtransactions. And I don't know, this business model is not doing well for them. I think they're charging too much for Super Mario Run. Mm-hmm. They're kind of basing it off of like their console Mario prices.
Yeah.
Because like 24 levels for $10 on like 3DS or Wii U, people would be fine with that. But
yeah, I think I would feel more comfortable paying maybe 5 or maybe 6 or 7.
Yeah.
Not a full 10.
So we don't get too much more down these rabbit trails that we've been already getting down. We're going to do our big game of the year discussion.
Yeah. I haven't played a lot of new games this year, so my list is pretty short, and I don't feel like it's very interesting. But hopefully we can get some good discussion going. Yours is probably a little larger than mine.
Yeah,
a little more varied.
There were some games that I wish were on this list, but we're gonna do our top 5. So I had to bump off a couple games that I felt should have been on it. But
yeah, I don't think I even had a full 10. So we couldn't.
Did you? I thought Super Mario Run made it 10.
Oh yeah, I think it did, but it was kind of I don't know. I kind of like forced a lot of stuff. Like those, it started off with a list of games that I had played. And then I tried arranging those into my top 5 2016 games.
Yeah. So I guess I'll go first.
Yeah.
We'll go back and forth.
Okay.
Starting with number 5.
Yeah, we're going to work our way from the bottom to the top.
Yeah. So my number 5 was Severed. I absolutely love this game. This is the newest game from Drinkbox Studios, the team that did Attack of the Mutant Blobs, I think it was, and Guacamelee.
Yeah.
Yeah, this game is fantastic. This has almost changed my opinions on dungeon crawlers. Like the combat in the game is so good. Like it has a lot of like reused enemies, and you don't really learn a whole lot of extra techniques throughout the game. But the battle system never really gets old. I mean, I let you try a little bit of the game. So.
It's definitely a unique take on the genre.
Yeah, it focuses more on like time management as the challenge rather than like strategy so much.
It's very good. I love the art style and the...
Yeah, it's actually a 2D game that is made to look like a 3D game. And I think that looks really nice.
Yeah. It kind of gives it that... almost kind of like a point-and-click adventure, but you really lose yourself in it.
Yeah. And the story is really good. I'm not going to give away anything.
Yeah.
But this is also the most accessible game on my list because it's on mobile. It's on Wii U, 3DS. Is it on anything else?
It's on iOS. I don't know if it's on Android, but I'm sure it will be
I started
soon.
with mobile. So
you started. I'm the best.
Is it on?
I'm the best co-host because I don't pay attention to anything. It is.
Yeah, it really works best with a touchscreen. So this is a game I can actually recommend. Like if you don't have a 3DS or Wii U, I think this could be just as fun on mobile. Which I've rarely said those words. So
yeah,
but like this feels like the most, like the best use of a touchscreen for a game that I've played maybe ever.
Yeah, I wish I could add more. But I haven't played as much as you, so I don't really have too much more to say about it. It looks good. It felt really good when I was playing it.
The bosses are incredible too.
Mm-hmm. It's more about like learning your enemies, and then managing several of them all at once.
Yeah, because they introduce like one enemy at a time, and then they'll start to put them in packs and have like different packs of a variety of enemies. Like you can see at the bottom of the screen when all of the enemies on screen are going to attack. So even if you're not facing them, like you always know when they're going to attack. So it's all about like timing your attacks, counters, all of that stuff. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just a really incredible game.
Yeah, and it never... I didn't get too far into it, but my experience with it didn't feel overwhelming. It didn't feel like at any point you were given more than you could handle.
Yeah,
it felt like there was always a way to handle the situation, and once you kind of find that groove, it's very easy to get into it, and it just feels so good to make all those movements. Clover's learning how to say dad, so she keeps saying dad, 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 dad. Also, she's with us. Sorry about any noises, but.
Well, she'll go next. Clover, what's your number 5?
Her number 5
like,
is
the Exorcaucer.
It's she did get to stand in it a little bit. I put it down on the lowest.
Well, that's why it's number 5.
Yeah, it's number 5. She didn't get to spend
choice.
as much time with it. Her number 4, no, probably her number 2 has got to be the touchscreen phone that we got her. It's like this neat like kid friendly phone toy.
Yeah,
she loves it. But that's not a video game. My number 5 is Miitomo, and it's not exactly a game, but it's enough of a game that it's on my list. More of a game than Pokemon Go.
Yeah, and I think we've talked quite a bit about it. I'm not sure we need to go into a whole lot of detail.
Yeah, I'm just going to kind of summarize. I think it's a good first step. Albeit a bit shaky. It's a good first step for Nintendo's, I guess, social interaction.
It's kind of more of like a Nintendo social network than... But it does have a lot of game elements to it.
Mm-hmm.
So,
there's the drop, so you can spend tickets. You could get new things.
Yeah, you can get candies in the drops. Just miss everything and just get the candies.
Yeah,
they just keep getting harder. I was not a fan of that. Like, I don't know if you've come back to it recently, but I swear they just keep getting harder.
I really don't mess with that stuff too much. I mostly just answer questions. Sometimes I'll make silly photos.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I feel like Nintendo they're going to keep working on updating this and adding stuff. So I've got high hopes for it in 2017. When we get to our holiday special next year, we'll compare. We'll do a comparison of the two.
Well, what if they don't update it at all?
If they don't update it at all, then
it's the same as last year.
It's the Miitomo 2. It's Miitomo. We both had the same idea there. Yeah. I was very excited for it. I was a little disappointed that it didn't have as much to offer as I was expecting it to. But I am hopeful. It seems like Nintendo is striving to keep it interesting, and I have high hopes. So that's why it's on the list, but at the bottom.
Okay. All right, so my number 4 is Pokemon Sun and Moon. Yeah, so I've always been a casual Pokemon fan. Never really. It was never in my top Nintendo franchises, just because the games always felt outdated, and immediately after releasing, they felt outdated. And this game did so much to change my opinion of that.
Yeah.
So I'm actually excited for the first time ever about the future of Pokemon.
Mm-hmm.
Especially because it'll be coming to Switch, whatever it is. So
is that confirmed?
I mean, they said they'll be developing
rumor?
for Switch. We covered that in episode 2, I think.
Oh, I thought that had been a rumor that they were going to be doing that.
Well, we don't know if they're doing Pokemon Stars or if they're making a new game, but
it'll be the new Pokemon Stadium.
Yeah. Anyways, this game is incredible. I don't think I need to say too much about it because everyone else has been talking about it. The story was actually good, which is really a first for me, at least in my opinion. And this generation of Pokemon really got back to almost Gen 1 good, as far as character designs. Plus all of the I forget what it's called, the Pokemon Refresh, I think. Where you take care of your Pokemon on the bottom screen.
Resort?
No, it's called Refresh.
Oh, Refresh.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you played it. I haven't. So
I was are you correcting me on a game you haven't played?
I think it's actually. I think you'll find it's actually. It's. I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. So customizable trainer. The game does a really good job of feel like actual living things rather than just party members or stats. Mm-hmm. So, for instance, my I forget what it's called. It was a Dartrix. I'm forgetting the name right now. This is not good. But the Rowlet, whatever he evolves into, because I took so much care of him every time he got dirty or wet or whatever, he now crits about a quarter of the time or a third.
Wow!
Just because he wants to please me. So.
That's
that's kind of
cool.
special. So
yeah, I think that's something I said I was really into was the. It's like you said, they feel more like it feels more like having a team of pocket monsters rather than having a team of monster cards.
Yeah. So I think this game has really stepped the Pokemon series up to the 2010s decade. That's kind of harsh, but it's also kind of true.
Yeah.
Even the prior 3DS games, they were good, but they still felt like the old school Pokemon games.
Mm-hmm. I think X and Y. It was kind of that first step onto the 3DS, and then Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire were. They were kind of trying to refine it and figure out how to make it better. But, I mean, it was a remake, so they couldn't really do too much new stuff. Mm-hmm. And so I think they really kind of figured out the right direction to be going to keep the series interesting.
Yeah, so I've never had a Pokemon game on my top 5 ever.
Wow.
So, yeah, this is huge. This is huge. I'm actually really excited for the future. So, what's your number 4?
Hold on. I don't remember. Let me check.
It was a very memorable game then.
My number 4 is Super Mario Run. We've already talked a little bit about it.
Yeah. I have not. You just had me play it right before we recorded this. So,
so why don't you kind of talk about it? Because you've got like a fresher perspective on it, I think.
it feels better than I thought it would. Mm-hmm. It was surprising how well it controlled. I mean, like, touch is never quite as good as like the response of a button, but it was as close as it's ever been, I think. Like, I've played a few different mobile games, and this, like, feels the best, the smoothest. Like, the response time from tapping the screen to Mario jumping.
Yeah.
So, like, I mean, I didn't really have... You had me play the, like, tutorial thing before, but it kind of just felt natural to play the game. So I think they did a pretty good job of capturing the feel of a Mario game on a phone.
Mm-hmm. They really streamlined a lot of things to make it work with just the one touch.
Yeah.
So Mario will, like, if you like hit the side of a block, but you're like at the top, then he'll just like climb up top of it, and you could kind of use that to do a flip and maybe get a little extra jump, and you can just like the timing of the tap. With Mario's position in the level leads to some pretty cool moves, and it flows really well.
Oh, definitely. I was really surprised by it. I would say that.
Yeah, I was too, and I'm as soon as I can afford to, I plan to buy the rest of the levels. Because I could not stop. I could not stop playing it. I kept playing the first 3 levels over and over again, trying to get all the coins. And then I did. I was like, oh, well, I guess I'm done.
Yeah. So it's not out on Android yet. It should be soon because they're already getting like the whatever they call those, the notifications. Mm-hmm. Sign up for it. So whenever that comes out, I'll definitely be getting it, and I'm actually more excited about it now that I've played it.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad that I've managed to help you be excited about something that you were skeptical about.
Yeah. I think they pulled it off. I'm not sure how well it'll do for them. Again, like $10 is a bit pricey for that.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, it's I would rather pay a larger upfront fee than to constantly pay microtransactions to keep playing.
I just think a lot of people in this day and age do not feel that way.
Oh, definitely. There are a lot of people who are very upset about it. And I kind of understand why, but at the same time...
the people who put like $70 into Candy Crush Saga are like, $10 for this Mario game?
Yeah. I understand where they're coming from, but at the same time, I don't see why this game needs to be an endless game. Mm-hmm. I kind of like that it does have a beginning and an end.
Well, I mean, like, the reason it was actually so fun was because the levels are so well designed for that, like, continuous forward running. Mm-hmm. Like, that's something Nintendo does that a lot of mobile companies don't. Is like actually putting care into the level design. Yeah,
and it gives you a really good chance every stage to really master it. Like, you get 2 bubbles for every level, which lets you basically if you mess up, like if you just miss a jump, or if you weren't able to get something that you can't flip back to get, then it gives you a chance to go back there. And the levels are short enough that it's easy to just like play them again and again and really master them. And that's something that I really like. You don't get that with an endless runner.
Okay. So, did you have any other thoughts on that?
No, I'm pretty much done. I'm ready to stop talking about it.
Okay. My number 3, Rhythm Heaven Mega Mix on 3DS.
Ooh.
I always forget about this one, but I had so much fun with this one. Rhythm Heaven Mega Mix is basically a compilation of like the best like rhythm-based minigames from the various games, including the original one, which only came out on Game Boy Advance in Japan. So it's like divided up into worlds, and every world has one stage from the Game Boy Advance, one from the DS game, and then one from Fever on Wii, and then the fourth one is a brand new one. So it's like 1/4 new game, or I guess in the US it's like 1/2 new game because of the Game Boy Advance.
That's neat. I really like that.
Yeah, and they're all like remixed to fit on the 3DS. Because like the DS one had all the touchscreen stuff, and they've taken that out for button presses, which I actually prefer.
Yeah, I know you can change that in the settings, but I had it set to. I played the demo, but I had it set to button presses.
And they use the bottom screen in a unique way, which it kind of seems lazy at first, but it's really nice if you're a Rhythm Heaven fan. On the bottom, like you can see, like it'll do basically like an aura on the bottom screen. And it'll show like how close you were to the note. So if you get like a rainbow aura, that means you hit it perfect.
Right.
And then it like moves like front and back. So like without even looking down, you can see in your periphery like all of the like how well you're doing. Which is it's harder to do with like Rhythm Heaven Fever.
Yeah, it does. It also does a lot better of a job. It kind of explaining in the setup. Of each game, like if you one of the things I always struggled with some of the harder ones was really nailing it, because it always gives you a chance to learn how the basic mechanics of each song.
Yeah, and then it just goes all out.
Yeah, and then the challenge is taking what you've learned and applying it to whatever they throw at you. And there were some that like I just couldn't quite get the timing of. What this does is if you aren't able to get it in enough tries, then it shows you on the bottom screen the exact moment that you need to press something. It hasn't really done that in any other game in the series.
Yeah, I mean this is really like if you want to get into the Rhythm Heaven series, this is the perfect game to start with.
And one thing I've heard is that a lot of the original stages have remixed music to begin with, but you can unlock the original.
I think so. I've done a lot of like I've finished the main game, but there's actually a lot of after game content.
Okay.
So it has a story mode that's like hilariously bad, as you might imagine, given the Rhythm Heaven mini games, but.
I mean, Rhythm Heaven doesn't really need any sort of setup. It just needs to be.
Yeah.
Like the neat thing about Rhythm Heaven is that each song is its own story, and they're just
like the craziest things. Like they're so creative.
Yeah, but everything kind of fits together, especially with the remixes, like the specific remix stages. Where they take all the songs that you've played through, and it's kind of like a final test of each.
Yeah.
Of each, I guess it would be world.
Kind of, yeah. Yeah, it does something similar. You have to get like past these 3 gatekeepers, like every couple worlds or so, and they have like special, like longer mini games that you have to play, and then once you beat them. There's 3 of them, like 3 gatekeepers, and you have to beat one of them. And there's like the one that has like the easiest version, the normal version, and then the hard version. And so you pay less to play the harder ones. So you have to pay more to get a simpler minigame. But then once you beat them, then you unlock the endless mode for each of those. Which those get really addictive.
Oh yeah.
Like this, Megamix has a coin flipping minigame that I got obsessed with.
I think that was in the original DS version.
Was it?
Yeah.
It's more fun though in this one. Yeah, I think it was in the DS one.
What do they do to make it more fun?
I'm not exactly sure, but like I played it for 40 minutes straight, I think, one night. Like when I first bought it, I was obsessed with getting a high score.
If it's like the original, then I know exactly what you're talking about. It's something about it is just like, oh man, okay. Because it's so easy to do. It starts you off with I forget exactly how the game works, but it's like you're kind of like figuring out the rhythm, and then as you go, you start figuring, okay, so it's the same beat, but they just slowed it down, or they sped it up, or they added a couple of confusing like half beats in there. I think Sneaky Sprites or Spirits?
Which one?
It's the one with the wall, the bow and arrow, and the ghosts.
Yeah. That's fantastic.
It does that like through the whole thing, where it starts with the first one, so you know it on the 7th beat. That's when you need to fire, and then it's like whack, whack, whack.
Yeah,
and then and it's just
that one's hard, but it's a lot of fun.
It is. I love Rhythm Heaven so much.
I was just going to say, can you tell we're both passionate about this series? They need to make more of them.
Yeah.
But I'm glad this came out here. Because there was a time when we thought it wasn't. It was just a surprise announcement at E3.
Yeah.
They showed the trailer and they're like, and it's out now. And I ran to my 3DS and immediately purchased it.
Yeah. I knew that it was coming out, or that some Rhythm Heaven game was going to be released, but I really didn't know much about it until they just
I think that was a
dropped
rumor,
it.
Though. Because they hadn't announced that officially.
Yeah, and I know there was I think the guy who does a lot of the vocal work in the series, and he had like throat cancer for a bit there.
Really?
So there was like a lot of people were really worried for him, and also about the series' future, because he has like a big part in those games.
It's just like the like any noise they need or what?
Yeah, he probably does the ringside wrestler. Yeah.
That one is not in Megamix, or at least I haven't
not?
unlocked it. So
It's the training for it is in the demo, which is absolutely infuriating. Like it teaches
Really?
you how to play the game, and then it's like, oh, sorry, the demo's over. But here's what
Okay,
what you can look forward to.
like once you finish the game, there's all these like extra bonus worlds, and I haven't unlocked all the games in them, so that might
okay.
still be in there. But it's not in the main game.
Yeah, that's what. That's kind of like what I liked about the series is that there was, I think there were like maybe 10. There were 10 worlds to finish, or 10 stages basically. No, 10 full levels. Once you finished all the remixes, then you got the credits, and then it unlocked a whole bunch more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it does something similar with this one. Although, the main story mode is a bit longer. All right, so I think before we spend like the rest of the podcast talking about Rhythm Heaven, we should move on to your number 3.
My number 3.
It's just called Kirby.
It says Kirby on the list, but that's just because I was trying to write it with one hand. It's Kirby Robobot, and I haven't finished it yet, but I've played a fair bit of it. It's so good.
Yeah,
I think it's probably
incredible.
the best Kirby we've gotten so far.
It might be. Like, I know a lot of people will always say that what Superstar, that's like the pinnacle of the series.
Yeah.
I think this gets at least up to that point.
Yeah.
And I think I mentioned this before, but I was not a fan of Triple Deluxe. I thought it was just like the most soulless game. Like, technically it was amazing, but it just didn't have a personality to it, and that it kind of made me. It was like so like Kirby by the numbers.
Yeah, it felt very. I don't know. It felt very plain.
Yeah.
It didn't have quite as much charm. This thing is just oozing with such detail and charm. Like all the worlds have so much going on in the backgrounds or in the foregrounds. The enemies are amazing. They're a bunch of neat powers to work with. The mech. The biggest, I guess you could say
Robobot.
it's a gimmick, but it's so much more than that.
It really gives you like a big feeling of empowerment in a game series that's already like not that hard. But it doesn't feel broken.
No.
Like I was kind of worried that it would be so easy that it wouldn't even be fun, but somehow, like especially since your Robobot has I think 10 different items that it can copy. And there's some really fun ones.
Yeah, it's just really neat experimenting with it, and unlike with the hyper seed in Triple Deluxe, it's like it pops up when you don't expect it to. Like the hyper seed would only pop up in like a couple of stages, and it was the main gimmick of the game. And
Yeah,
like, it always came up towards the end of a certain stage.
I feel like it wasn't used like any more than about like 5 or 6 times throughout the entire game.
Yeah.
Like the Robobot appears at like pretty much every other level usually.
Yeah, and it's always like you see it and you're like, oh yeah, and like you get excited. You know you're in for a good time.
Did you get to the side-scrolling like shmup style level?
Yeah,
it was like just really unexpected. Mm-hmm. Like your Robobot, I think it's what is it? Flight? What is it? What
there's jet or something.
Jet, yeah, that's right. Yeah, and then you go into this whole like side-scrolling shoot 'em up level.
Yeah,
I mean it's not like the hardest thing, but it's a whole lot of fun.
Mm-hmm. Just the way that the game will like constantly kind of switch things up, and so many of the locations are
the casino. Did you get to the casino?
I haven't gotten to the casino yet.
Oh, that's so much fun. It's such a neat level.
But yeah, I definitely need to play a lot more of it.
And the final boss, which I'm not going to spoil, is amazing. Mm-hmm. I can't say anything. Like I want to say something about it, but
yeah,
like it's worth playing through just to get to that final boss. Top 1 final bosses of 2016: Kirby Planet Robobot.
So out of all Kirby bosses, it's the best.
It's probably it's the most memorable, and probably the most fun.
More than beating DDD for the first time ever. Again?
for the millionth time in every game? Yeah, like when you get to it, you'll know what I'm talking about. But it's also the largest scale boss fight that's ever happened. Because you don't you kind of play as Kirby, but you don't really.
Interesting. Well, say no more about it, because I gotta...
It's kind of like, it's like a huge like cosmic event that you're fighting.
Huh. So, does this kind of tie together the Dark Matter
it kind of does.
Story?
A little bit, I think.
Okay,
I know there's not a whole lot of... there's not a whole lot to the Kirby lore, so...
There's a lot of, like, implied stuff that isn't spelled out in the series.
Here's a hint. It's not the monster guy. It's not the guy DDD contacts in Kirby right back at you.
Yeah, okay. Boy, I sure was worried about that. But yeah, it's is it 02?
What?
Is it 02 from Kirby 64? 02.
I don't know what you mean.
The white guy, the white orb guy with the eye.
Oh, no.
No. Okay.
No, I mean you'll it's not like a boss you've seen before, or at least that I don't remember. Because like Kirby games typically have new bosses per game.
Yeah.
But this one is massive. And I won't say anything else.
Okay. Well, I'll have to spend a little less time playing my number 1 game and a little more time playing this one.
Yeah.
But let's hear about your... Did you already do your third?
Yeah, that
okay,
was...
let's do your second.
Number 2, and I don't know, this might be higher, but I've only put about 7 or 8 hours into it so far. And that is Final Fantasy 15. So I just got the game for Christmas, so again, I've only put in a little bit of time.
Mm. And, sorry, how long did you say you would put into it?
About 7 hours, 7, 8.
7, 8 hours, okay.
Yeah, it is incredible so far. I've heard, like, near the end of the game, it becomes really linear and kind of boring, and the story starts to fall apart, so I'm a little discouraged about that, but the open world is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So is like the opposite of Final Fantasy 13.
So I haven't. I don't have a PS4. I realistically don't see myself having one anywhere in 2017. So can you kind of geek out about it for a little bit? Tell me what you like about it. Just tell me all about it.
So, like, first off, the graphics are incredible. I know you've seen some of the footage of it.
Yes, and we played the demo together.
Yeah, the world itself, when you start out the game, this isn't really too much of a spoiler, but like your car runs out of gas, and so you have to like push it to this gas station, and you're pretty much in like the middle of nowhere. It's kind of a desert area, and it's based a little bit like on like kind of has like a 1930s aesthetic to it.
Yeah.
So everything has that kind of old time feel to it. And
so there's a lot of retro futurism.
Yeah, like you have smartphones, and your car itself looks really modern, and it has like the I don't know what you call it, like the animatronic roof that folds in because it's a convertible. But
so the convertible roof.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know.
Is your car a transformer? Is it?
No, it should be though.
Is it Optimus Bumblebee?
It should. That would make that game though. Seriously, if
I'm sure if it comes out on PC, you know there are going to be people who mod it.
Oh, I'm sure.
There's going to be a Bumblebee mod or something.
Yeah. The combat, which I was a little nervous about, that platinum demo that I had you try, that kind of put a few of my fears to rest. It's a little bit more like Kingdom Hearts. So you hold down one button to consistently attack, and then you hold down another button to consistently dodge.
Okay.
And then you kind of have, like, you use the D-pad to switch out equipable weapons. So you can kind of chain different combos. And then one of the coolest features is the warp strike. So you can throw your weapon at, like, a wall or an enemy and then instantly warp there. But that does use up MP.
Okay. One thing I had read, and I just sort of glanced over a review because I didn't want too many spoilers. One thing I saw was that rather than having like magic spells, you sort of have consumable items.
Yeah, I haven't played enough to, like, I haven't unlocked spells yet. If that's coming, that hasn't happened yet.
Okay.
But one of the main point of the game is to go around. You're trying to collect like the powers of past kings in your family.
Okay.
So you have to go into the different like dungeons and then work your way down to like the bottom of the crypt, and then you end up getting their weapon. And they get, like, each one gives you these incredibly powerful weapons that drain your HP if you use them.
Okay, so they're kind of like in Paper Mario, where you'll get a certain star power that you can use, but it'll like use up all your...
Yeah, and your HP is constantly regenerating. It's very slow, but the game is not easy. It's not, like, a lot of times for the bosses, I should say. The normal enemies aren't too bad. Okay. But you can't just run in there and hold down circle and win.
Right. Now, one thing I'm like, would it be revealing too much to kind of explain like how enemy encounters, like how they're justified in the world?
So most of them, like, you can go out in the wilderness and just find them, and you get experience for it, but you don't get money for it. You actually have to go to different like buildings. Like, you can go to restaurants usually, and they'll have quests posted.
Oh, okay.
And then you take the quest similar to Monster Hunter, like you have to kill like 7 of some certain thing.
Okay.
And then they'll show you where in the world those are, and you can just run over, kill them, and then go back to the restaurant and gain your reward.
Okay, so it's a very much an open world. Like you just kind of, I guess sort of. I'm thinking Fallout, Skyrim kind of.
It's Xenoblade Chronicles X open world.
Okay,
it's more like that. Like, there's not a lot to interact with because it's a more natural world.
Right.
So it's more of like the scale being there, so that you can just explore and then find like different items.
Okay, but it's not just big for the sake of being a very large world.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, some areas are just completely bland, but you don't ever need to go through them.
Okay, so they're there to flesh out the world, but there's no like tangible reason to go there other than to like kind of satisfy your own curiosity.
Exactly.
Okay.
It's also like the game feels like very alive. The world of Final Fantasy 15. They did like a really good job. Like, people are just talking when you go up to them, like they're having their own conversations, and it really mixes in like 2016, like our world with like smartphones and like resorts and whatnot. Like, you just go out and there's a restaurant on the water, like a boardwalk that you go out there, and it looks like a realistic place.
And I've seen people posting pictures of like the food and like how hyper realistic it looks, and
it's incredible.
I want to eat that. That looks so
realistic
good.
toast of 2016, Final Fantasy 15.
I saw like a plate of just like regular buns, and I was like, those are the tastiest looking buns I've ever seen.
Look at the toast. The toast looks like. I mean, they must have like gotten some like realistic capture for their photo capture for their textures, but
I can imagine they've got like an HP DeskJet scanner, and they slap a piece of buttered toast on it.
It's not even buttered; it's just like a burnt piece of toast.
Just toast.
Yeah,
that's really cool. I like that they've
and all of the food gives you stat boosts, so you can find a lot of ingredients. Out in the wild,
so you can like you can make food out on the go.
Yeah, well, Ignis does, who's kind of like your butler character in the game.
Okay,
so every character has like one specific skill. Like Gladiolus is like a survivor, so he's like really good at exploring and camping. And then Noctis, the main character, like his thing is fishing, and so like. By doing those things, like Ignis is cooking, and then I don't remember his name, Prompto. He takes pictures, which is kind of useless, but as you have them do their skills, like then those actually level up, and so like Ignis will learn new recipes if you get him to cook more.
Noctis will maybe catch a bigger fish.
Yeah.
He won't like maybe the line won't break as often or something.
Yeah, because like he actually just like his weapons, he summons them. Through magic.
Oh, cool.
Like he just reaches his arm back, a fishing rod appears, and then he throws it. So
that's neat. Now, tell me about the characters. Like, how's the interaction with them? Do they?
It's really interesting. Because like, if you're just going on boring quests that you've accepted, they don't talk, which is kind of unfortunate. But like, as long as you stick to the story, they're just constantly talking. Like they'll like pick on each other. If you get close to a character, they'll kind of like move their shoulders out of the way so they don't bump into each other. I mean, if you're just standing there like trying to do normal things, sometimes their AI is a bit funky and they'll just do like weird circles or not know what to do in a certain building. But I mean, typically, it looks really realistic. Like you'd expect 4 people that are just kind of waiting around.
And just kind of palling around, driving in a car.
Yeah. I mean, it really. Ignis is probably the least fleshed out character. He's kind of not needed, at least from what I've played.
Well, he cooks, so that's his thing.
Yeah, and he drives. But like after you get to the second area in the game, you can basically drive yourself anywhere.
Okay.
Like the first part of the game, you can only drive at night, but and he drives everywhere else.
That's because your dad's not at work, so he can steal his car.
Yeah, and again, I'm not going to get into any story details.
His dad's dead.
I can't get into story details.
It turns out that he at the end of the game, your dad was within all along. Your dad is the car. Anyway, so that's your number 2?
Yes.
Okay. Gosh, I'm excited to hear what your number 1 is.
Yeah.
My number 2 is a... Oh, sorry. Have you said everything that you wanted to say?
I mean, pretty much. All I was going to say was that this is the most Western that Final Fantasy has felt, like the most mainstream. But while still, like, it's a very quirky and charming game. Like, even though it looks like the real world, it has a very realistic art style, it's very much a Final Fantasy game. Even though a lot of the characters look like characters you'd see, like NPCs from Western games. Like, they're just normal-looking American people. And then, like, you're these, like, anime people with crazy hair running around. I mean, you really don't blend in with this world. But...
Well, I mean, especially with your big black car, and they're all wearing
black
like
weird, like, suits and jackets and, like, chains and belts. And yeah. It's like a Japanese boy band going to America for a road trip.
But nobody knows who they are.
Yeah. Well, that would be realistic.
Yeah.
You just go on to your number 2.
Anyway, my number 2, I don't know. Looking at this now, it almost feels like a cop-out, but it's really the best thing I've got on my list.
I mean, like, most of the other games on the list, I would say don't belong on your list.
Yeah.
So...
It's
On your games that you've played. Sorry, I didn't want to say like all the games on your list or not. Like Kirby Planet Robobot was one of the games I didn't want to get off of my list, but there were too many other games that I liked more.
Right. It's Animal Crossing New Leaf Welcome Amiibo. Nintendo towards the I guess the beginning of fall. It
was November, right? Like early November.
Yeah. They updated Animal Crossing New Leaf. They added a lot of amiibo functionality. I think we talked about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we did like a.
I love it. It breathed some new life into the game.
Some new Leaf life.
Yeah, some new Leaf life.
Are you still playing it?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I haven't been spending as much time with it, but I do still pick it up.
Okay. I wish I could still play. There's so many other games that I'm playing right now.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not easy to check in. Like if Animal Crossing were on my phone, it would be easy to check in on. But
yeah, because Animal Crossing, it's very hard to just like spend a couple of minutes playing. It's one of those games where you kind of have to sit down and lose yourself inside of it.
Yeah.
So it's a little hard nowadays. What with everything else we have going on, all the other games, to find time to, I guess, really be immersed in it. But that being said, the time that I have spent with the new update has been very enjoyable. So I say it's the same game, but with enough new elements that I think it qualifies just enough to be on my list.
Yeah.
I don't think I can really say too much more.
Is she disagreeing with that?
I guess so. I don't think I can really say too much more about it without basically saying the same thing that I've said that everyone else has said already. So I really like it. I'm kind of hoping that they continue to update Animal Crossing, add more stuff.
Do we have to wait 3 more years for it, though?
I realistically don't see them doing that, though. I see them releasing a new Animal Crossing before I see them updating this again.
Yeah. I kind of feel like this was to tide us over until mobile and whatever the new Switch Animal Crossing is going to be. Amiibo Festival 2. Mm-hmm. The internet's just going to explode if that's what happens.
It's a game of the year for sure. If that happens. And another thing is like the timing of the update. It was like it was during the American elections, the presidential elections. So everyone was kind of stressed out. I think it was a really good time for it to come out and just kind of calm.
Just kind of forget what's going on.
Yeah, kind of recede into your own calm world. So I think it was in that regards. I think it was a very good move on Nintendo's part. I don't know whether intentional or not. The timing was just very good.
Yeah, so you can like be your own like dictator of Animal Crossing.
Right. I'll elect myself as president of my own world. Thank you.
Can you imagine if there were like in-game elections? Like there were so many years. Like there was a good year and a half, I think, that I didn't even play. Mm-hmm. That I didn't even like boot up New Leaf. So I don't think they would have reelected me.
I mean, they kind of have to when you come back, but
yeah, they're like, I thought you were gone. What happened to you?
Isabel basically runs the town either way.
Yeah, she's like the secret like ruler of your town.
It's not even a secret; she just is.
Yeah, while also being adorable.
Oh, she's the best. I love her so much. Yeah. I wish that she were like a regular villager.
But then she might move away.
No, she would have to stay.
Well, that's what I mean. If she were a regular villager, there's a chance that she'd...
No, she's a special regular villager.
Okay. Well, isn't that what she already is then?
She is. She's the best. So, Animal Crossing New Leaf, Welcome Amiibo. That's my second.
Okay.
It's my number 2.
My number 1, and I almost forgot about this, because this was honestly pretty hard to go back and forth like between this and Final Fantasy.
It's the skunked number 1 bundle, isn't it?
It's free balling.
Free balling.
Just kidding.
Tell me about free balling.
Fire Emblem Fates.
I feel like I should have seen that coming.
Yeah, I'm kind of a huge fan of the series now. So, this game was incredible. Animal Crossing Awakening. It's a strategy RPG with animals.
I would play that.
coming to Nintendo Switch next year.
I would absolutely play that.
Or Fire Emblem Awakening was previously my favorite 3DS game of all time. And now it is Fire Emblem Fates. It pretty much took everything that the first game did right and did it better. There's not quite as much content like per game, but it is split into 2 different campaigns.
Okay. Did Awakening do anything poorly that Fates did improved?
No, I wouldn't say so. Like, I don't think there's really. I know like a lot of the fans were complaining, like the diehard Fire Emblem fans were complaining that it was too easy. But and in a way, like Fates kind of gets rid of that because you can just play Conquest, and that's just like the old games.
Right.
But because like grinding was not a thing in previous Fire Emblems before. I think it was like there's one game before Awakening I think that allowed grinding, and I don't remember what it was, but
because the natural path of the game allows your characters to grow stronger as you're playing, right? So you never really need to grind.
Well, but like you can get OP characters. Like the game gets really hard. Like Conquest is way harder than Birthright. I did actually end up buying. I played Birthright first, and then I played Conquest. And I can't really pick between the 2 games because I really liked both families. I will say that I didn't agree with the cause of Conquest. Like it was one of those. Like I played Birthright first, and then I played Conquest. So like Conquest, you're not evil, but you're not like your cause is not so just.
Right.
And I won't spoil some of the story elements, but like once you've played Birthright, you know who the villain is, and you're kind of supporting them in a way in Conquest. So, but anyways, like both games are really good stories. The way they make you choose on like I think the 5th or 6th mission, like they get you. You start out on the Nor side, which is from Conquest, and you start out being like raised by this family because your character was like. I think it was your dad was killed by the Nor early on, and so like you were captured. So you were raised by the Nor, so they're kind of like the family that you've always known. And then you actually end up escaping and going back to the Hoshido, which are your birth family.
Okay.
And so they get you to like both families and all the characters in them, and then they make you choose. And they have like this really emotional moment where like both like your real brothers and your adopted brothers and sisters are like all talking to you like, no, don't go with them. Like they're trying to get you to go with them, and it's really like back and forth. And you have to choose one or the other.
Gosh, that's
it's a very emotional game that Awakening was not. Like Awakening was just a good, fun story, but like this one is much more sad, much darker.
Well, it sounds like it kind of forces you to be invested.
Yeah. Like if you bought one version, like you know which family you're going to go with, but if you bought both of them, it makes it that much harder.
Yeah. I kind of have a stupid question. Are they going to go in the Pokemon route and have basically the same game that is basically both games? Is it going to be Fire Emblem like Diplomacy or something?
Well, they actually made a 3rd campaign that's like DLC only called Revelation, and that's like you don't choose. Like you just like choose to go to neither side, and then like some family from each side will join you. But I haven't played that route yet because I don't have $20 to spend on that. So
and you're not already like Fire Emblemed out.
Yeah, I haven't finished Conquest. I'm about halfway through, or 3/4.
Okay,
but I did finish Birthright.
Now, here's a question. If you buy Birthright and you decide to go with it's the Nor, they're the
Conquest.
They're the purple guys, right?
Yes, the purple people. Yes,
they're the red and whites, and then the purples and blacks.
Yes,
you could decide to go with the purples. Does that change it? Does that turn Birthright into Conquest? Or?
No, that's $20. That would be $20.
Oh, so you can buy one game and you can basically buy all.
Yes, like for $80 if you buy all of them new, you can have the complete experience, and then you have all of the choices.
So I'm imagining the situation where it's just a very emotional scene where you have the Nor and I'm sorry, what's the other team?
Hoshido.
You have the Nor and the Hoshido you're in the middle there, and they're both begging you. It's like, no, don't go with them. Like, you belong with our family.
Yeah.
And you decide to go with the family opposite of the game that you bought. And they're like, yes, you decided us. That'll be $20.
Yeah, see, like, you kind of have to, like, choose before you go in a way, or you have to buy, like, put down the $60, which it's worth it, because both versions are completely different games.
Okay, so...
They have, like, completely different families, the missions are different. I mean, both games are about 25 to 40 hours, depending on how much you invest.
Okay,
per game. So there's a bunch of content both routes that you go.
I see. So really, the only difference in getting one or the other is which family you start out with, and also, I guess, which box are you get.
Yeah, I guess so.
Okay, because that's one thing I'd been worried about. If they're both the same game, but with just like different.
No, it's not like Pokemon. Like, these are, like, I almost split them into two different games because they really are two different games. Mm-hmm. But I felt that wasn't quite fair.
Okay. I don't know. It was just kind of confusing to me, the way that
the way they marketed it was really bad, yeah. I feel.
Like, if it had... I feel like if they had it as one game, and then, you know, you pay the full price for both, then it would have worked out better. They
released a special edition for $80 that came with, like, an art book and something else, like a carrying case, and it came with Birthright, but it had the other two routes pre-installed. Mm-hmm. And that was, I think they made about 30 of those for the U.S. because you could not find them anywhere.
On par with Nintendo's planning strategy.
I went to, I think it was GameStop, because I knew this was going to go out fast, and I don't like to pre-order things, but I tried to pre-order it. So I went to GameStop, and they... this was the day after they announced the special edition, and I was like, do you have the special edition to pre-order? And they're like, no, we sold out of that day one within like 3 hours or something.
Of course.
Yeah. So...
You know, as soon as the direct starts, people have already they're already calling it.
There's like time travelers that go ahead to watch the direct, like, so they can pre-order.
They don't even know what's coming out, but they just call GameStop and they're like
just
Nintendo,
in line at
pre-order.
GameStop watching the direct. Like, okay, this, yeah, pre-order. Put me down for that.
No, they call and they say Nintendo pre-order now, and then they just have to put down all of whatever Nintendo announced.
Yeah.
And then charge them a gross amount of money.
Yeah, so I feel like I didn't do a great job explaining Fates or why I loved it so much, but it really is a game that you'll just have to play eventually.
Well,
so maybe when it price drops, you'll be able to buy both versions.
Maybe.
And then you'll have that emotional choice.
Oh, boy. The emotional choice of maybe spending another $20.
It's like, it's so addictive. Like, I couldn't not purchase the other route. Mm-hmm. Like, I had to see what the story looked like, because it's the same story but like in an alternate universe where you go the other route.
Mm-hmm. That's interesting.
And like the bosses of Birthright are your side characters in Conquest. So like you're having to face off against these characters. So once you played one version, then it's like even harder to play the other, because like you like these characters and you don't want to like either injure them or kill them, mm-hmm. but you have to. So, and like your character throughout the whole game, he's not ever like 100% on whichever side you choose. So, it's a much more emotional and not like stupid complex like a lot of JRPGs can be. Mm-hmm. So it's not like Kingdom Hearts,
where nobody knows what the heck's going on.
Yeah, it's like this would be emotional, I think, if I knew what was happening.
Yeah.
But like it's just a really good story. Like if we were doing top stories of 2016, that would be Fire Emblem Fates would be on that.
Well, it's already at the top of your 2016. So
if you're listening to this, go buy it if you have a 3DS.
Yeah, definitely.
Go buy all versions plus both DLC bundles that they released after.
And while you're at it, also buy Awakening, which I need to finish playing. I haven't gotten very far in it. Gosh, you've lent me a lot.
Oh, the castle. I forgot. Like you can actually upgrade your castle. Like you have this little castle, like in an alternate universe castle. It's hard to explain, and you can actually customize it. So you can like build different buildings or decorations, and then if your castle gets invaded by AI, or if you play the multiplayer mode where you can attack another player's castle, those can act as different like stat boosters.
Okay.
So
can you like arrange furniture and?
It's more like arranging buildings. You can put stuff wherever you want. You can move stuff. It's like Animal Crossing, but for a castle.
I was going to say. So this is actually Fire Emblem Crossing.
Yeah. I mean, there's like so much to do besides just the main content. Like, of course, the relationship building is just as great as it was before.
If not more so. It seems like they added a lot more.
Yeah. There's a lot more like instantly likable characters, I guess. Mm-hmm. Some of the characters from Awakening are just a little generic.
Yeah.
But and Fates also has like those characters that are like very Japanese in that they have like one quirk, and then they just every cutscene involves that quirk. Mm-hmm. Like there's one girl, Setsuna, who falls into traps, and every single cutscene involves her falling into a trap some way. So it's like
because that's what she does.
Yep, that's her one thing that she can do.
She's the one who falls in the traps, so you don't have to.
Yeah. Also, the 3D. I don't know if you tried it for Awakening, but the 3D is just as good, if not better, in Fates. Like it looks so much fun. There's one level that's like it's a giant pit, mm-hmm. but it's like a fortress that goes like many levels down, and you're on this like castle platform that's suspended by giant chains, and the 3D effect is like almost sickening because of how far down it goes.
Oh, wow.
It's a really interesting experience. And I almost forgot, like, because you're part dragon, your main character is part dragon in this game, you can actually use those dragon powers on special spaces mm-hmm. to change the layout of the map. Do things like blocking off characters or allowing other characters to pass through. So there's even more strategy in this one than even Awakening.
That's neat. I like dragons.
That was some great input there.
But yeah, mechanically that sounds pretty neat.
Yeah,
I think that's an interesting way of kind of shaking things up,
mm-hmm.
Being able to alter the terrain, because that's not something that you're typically able to do in a strategy RPG.
No, because I mean most of them are more grounded
mm-hmm.
too.
So I think that's an interesting addition.
Yeah, I think that was all I had to say about it.
I feel like you could probably go on for hours talking about it. It sounds like you really
it's hard to like pick certain things and like explain why those things are so great. Mm-hmm. It's just like there was nothing in the game that I was disappointed with. That's like the best way I can put it.
Which is
why it's number one on my list.
I think for a video game that's pretty good praise.
Mm-hmm.
That nothing like really stuck out as bad.
Mm-hmm.
So
you'll have to finish Awakening and
I'll
give a report on how much you like it.
As soon as I beat,
or not.
As soon as I beat the final boss in Kirby, I'll do that.
Yeah,
which shouldn't be too hard because Kirby games are relatively easy, so I should be able to breeze through that, and then I can work on.
Yeah, that boss is okay. One more thing,
okay,
if you don't mind a mini spoiler.
No, I'll find out.
Okay,
maybe.
Badly,
just a little.
All I was going to say was. The final boss in Robobot is a better Star Fox than Star Fox.
Oh,
that's all I'll say. Star Fox Zero, I should mention.
Okay,
not the original.
I should. I should mention. I have Star Fox Zero on my list of games that I've played.
We'll talk about this.
Okay,
we'll talk about this.
Yeah, we'll get. Okay, I guess we'll get there.
Your number one.
My number one is Monster Hunter Generations, or as they say it over in the East, Monster Hunter Cross.
Not X.
Not X.
Because it's not 10.
No.
This would be about like 6 or 7 on my list, by the way. This was one of those like with Robobot that just missed the cut.
Mm-hmm. This one, you actually got it for me for Christmas.
Yeah.
So it is probably one of the best gifts that I got this year. I am thoroughly enjoying it. I think when 4 came out, I played the demo with that, and I couldn't get the hang of it. I think what helped is that I played Dark Souls this year for the first time.
There's a lot of similarities actually.
Mm-hmm. And that kind of prepared me. You can't just rush in. You know going in, you're not going to be able to dart around, and you have. It's very meticulous. And you have to. Meticulous sounds like annoying though, but it's very precise.
Yeah, it's a difficult game to get into, but like once you do, it's very rewarding.
Oh, I mean, I've only just started, and I'm already having so much fun. I'm thoroughly enjoying everything that the game offers. The worlds feel so. I mean, they're not very large worlds, but they're varied and unique enough to be. I mean, like this is the first game that has multiple different like areas, right?
No, they've all had that.
They've all had that?
Yeah, like the numbered areas.
Okay. Then the main thing with this is that it's kind of like a best of.
It's kind of like it's like the Rhythm Heaven Mega Mix of Monster Hunter.
Mm-hmm. I need to try and find a place to really start with talking about this because I'm kind of just rambling.
I was trying to think of the same thing. It's not an easy game to just like. It's great because of these 4 things. Mm-hmm. It's like the. I don't know, where do you want to go from there?
Okay, so I guess I'll just start with what type of game it is. So Monster Hunter is kind of an action RPG. But rather than leveling up your character, you level up your armor and your weapons.
Yeah, because you have the same HP level throughout the entire game.
Mm-hmm. And you could eat food before you go out hunting. That'll maybe give you a few more points.
Yeah.
But more or less, your character has the same stats. All your upgrades or all your special abilities come from. What weapons you use and how you've customized them,
and that's based on getting like parts of monsters that you carve off once you've hunted them.
Mm-hmm. So the main there's kind of a loop to the game where you prepare for a battle, you eat food, you purchase or upgrade or forge equipment, and then you go out, you gather materials, and then you hunt monsters. And you kind of keep doing the same thing over and over again. And there are a bunch of different quests. Like there's anything from just like gathering a certain type of material,
or just like putting a paw pass from one box into another.
Yeah, which I mean, those are kind of good if you're not familiar with the land, or you just need a chance to go explore.
I thought those were really dumb. Like the first time I played it, It was like I just immediately went over, picked up the ticket, and put it in the box. I was like,
yeah, and
what's the point of that?
You only get like 12 zenny for doing that.
Yeah,
but I think the point is just is to give you
gathering materials and like getting a lay of the land.
Mm-hmm.
And occasionally they'll throw in one of the harder monsters that just appears.
Yeah,
so you got to be careful.
One of the neat things is if your mission doesn't have if your mission isn't to find a big monster and defeat it. It's entirely likely that you'll still encounter that monster. Like, it could just show up. And so there's kind of there's a familiarity that you develop with the game, but then unpredictable things happen.
Very unpredictable things. And then you get to watch that hilarious running animation.
Mm-hmm. Oh, man, I love the animations in this game. Everything is so over-exaggerated. Like, it's very unexpected when you see it for the first time because it's a very kind of realistic art style. And then you have these characters doing like they slam a potion and then they eat a steak, they like whip it out and you can see them like eating it like a cob of corn. And then they pat their bellies like, oh yeah, that was a really good meal. And it's just so cartoonishly
it's
emphasized.
Like it's realistically cartoonish.
Mm-hmm.
I guess that's the best way I could put that.
It feels so good being able to pull off attacks. I'm kind of partial to the hammer. I've been trying out a bunch of the different weapons.
Yeah, I really find it interesting that you talk to like different people who played the game, and everyone has like a different weapon that they use. Mm-hmm. I think that's really interesting because like it really, to me at least, there was only one weapon that I felt comfortable with,
right?
And that was the longsword, and everything else I'm terrible with.
I just got to the second level quests, and it's...
Well, you already got creamed by what was it? The sand shark.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, don't do that one first. That's one of the hardest like level 2 quests.
Yeah, I didn't realize that it was going to be that difficult of a boss battle. But the thing is, I think I've been spending my money on I don't know. I'm not upgrading, but I'd been.
Yeah, what have you been spending? Like, we just played a few quests co-op before we started this podcast, and you didn't have enough money to buy to like start a quest. Like, you have some quests that require like 200 zenny to.
I didn't even have that much. No, what it was, I think I'd already poured all my money into upgrading my hammer.
Okay.
So I didn't have anything left. That's actually not the first time I haven't had enough money to start a quest.
Really?
So, but luckily enough, you find so much stuff while you're out hunting,
Yeah.
and it's not constant hunting. Like you're kind of dropped into this sprawling world, and it's not really. They're like connected areas in each world. You're kind of dropped into this area, and it's not constant hunting. There are monsters everywhere. Some of them are docile. You know, they won't attack you unless you attack them, or sometimes they just run away.
Although you kill all of them regardless.
Yeah, well, I don't always, but I just if we were like, I think we kind of hung out for like a
Did you kill that family of dinosaur things?
No,
That was just like going for a bite to eat in the cave.
No, I don't.
Okay.
I don't think I did. But I probably would have if the Great Jaggy hadn't shown up.
Wow.
But it's so you're not always hunting, and like in the quiet moments of the field work, you're digging around, harvesting berries or catching bugs, mining for ores, and just kind of exploring. And it's just, I don't know, if you're not fighting a boss, it's honestly kind of a very relaxing game.
Yeah, the music is really good too. I think you pointed that out before.
Oh, I'm in love with the soundtrack.
Have you listened to some of the other ones too from past Monster Hunters? They're all pretty good.
I started to. I found a playlist that I think had all the monster battle themes, but I'm going to try and find.
Because Monster Hunter 4, I think, had some really good themes. This one might be one of the better soundtracks, just because it's taking stuff from all the different games.
I love it. It's my absolute favorite game of the year, hands down. And after playing this, I am super excited to see if almost assuredly they're going to have Monster Hunter out on the Switch.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be like, I think Nintendo's pretty much secured the rights to that series, at least for, because like that's a really like portable friendly series, and it's really huge in Japan. So I can't imagine, like with the Vita pretty much going away in Japan and 3DS just now starting to die out, I think Switch is going to be the future home for Monster Hunter.
Yeah, the one thing, like, this game is so beautiful. It's just such a shame that the 3DS has as low a resolution as it does. So I would love to see this on the Switch with a much higher resolution.
Yeah, and I think some of the, like, having the smaller areas helps it, as far as like frame rate and also the textures.
Yeah. Oh, I haven't had like any slowdown at all. And
yeah, we only really encountered some weird things happening when we were playing online.
Yeah. I had, if I had to complain at all, I'd have to say the lack of support for local multiplayer is kind of
you have to go online to play local.
Like, we're sitting right next to each other. Like, there should be some kind of download play.
Yeah. Do you think it's not fast enough? Because like it's built for 4 people to be able to play it all at the same time.
It's possible that it's just my internet isn't fast enough. I mean, I don't have the fastest internet.
Yeah.
But I still think for a game like this, you really should be able to like get a bunch of friends together and do some kind of download play. There should be better local support, is what I'm trying to say.
So, any other thoughts on?
I don't think so. It's super rewarding, oozing with charm. I love it.
10 out of 10.
Dang. Yeah, that's my number 1 for 2016.
Okay.